But let's get going. So this webinar is entitled How to Make Money with a Direct-to-Garment Printer. I'll be your presenter. My name is Adam Tipre, and here's kind of what we're going to go over. First, we'll do a quick introduction to myself and my experience. Then we'll talk about some of the market overview in the direct-to-garment printing industry. Then the meat of this, which is the really everything that we want to cover from an addressable market and different marketing ideas, places to go to, how to market those different groups, and how to start bringing in orders, right? Because again, the printer is just a tool, right? You actually need the business to keep that tool moving. Then we'll go into some of the AnaJet garment printers, specifically the mPower Gen 2, and we'll talk about your cost. How much does it cost for you to make a shirt? How much do shirts cost? Where can I find those places, and how AnaJet can kind of help with that kind of stuff. Then we'll talk a little bit about the Spark software that we're offering. And then, like I said, at the very end, we'll have a Q&A session. And please feel free to send me as many questions as you'd like. I want to make sure that we're covering everything. So if anything pops up, shoot me a chat message, and I'll cover them at the very end. But let's start with me. My name is Adam Tipre. I've been with AnaJet for now 8 years. I started as a regional manager in sales department, moved up to enterprise account manager, which is the basically our large corporate clients and managing those relationships. And now I'm the national sales manager overseeing all of domestic sales. I went to school for business management. I've been in the sales and service industry for, gosh, my whole life. Was a vice president at a company called FC Liberty, and then also a division director at Robert Half International, which was a staffing firm. But over the last 8 years, I've been just completely engrossed in direct-to-garment printing, from the small businesses to the large businesses, and watching the technology grow. I have a lot of wealth of knowledge that I'm hoping to share with you this webinar, and hopefully you guys can utilize some of this to make your business a little bit more successful, or at least have a roadmap on where to start. So let's talk direct-to-garment printing and why. Well, digital is kind of the future of this industry. It's time to diversify. Whether you're in the screen printing world or if this is a new business, it's important to offer your customers a lot of different options. That's what kind of sets you apart from the people that are out there already. Being able to produce multicolored images, photographs, and with no additional screen fee or any setup of that nature allows you a niche that a lot of customers just they're really not accessing. And that's, we're going to talk a lot about that, but in the marketing aspects. But it's really important to know the flexibility that you have with direct-to-garment printing, and then the quality that you can get out of digital printing. There's also a continuous pricing pressure for all the different products and services that you're offering. So the idea being, yeah, we can do everything that screen printer can do, and we can do it at a competitive rate, but what's going to set you apart? How are you going to add value to your product? There's increased competition through web and social media, so that it's no longer just working in your local area. There's opportunities all over the world using different websites, Facebook, Twitter, all of those different things that can kind of expand your footprint and open up opportunities to you that necessarily weren't there. With screen printing, promotional product signs, signs in large format, really the crux of this is it's time to diversify. It's time to start offering more. It's almost a value proposition in that sense. But you personally, why should you get into direct-to-garment printing? Direct-to-garment printing, as you know, started back in 2006, and it has been an emerging technology, and the technology is increasing year over year. It's getting better and better and better. We had a firm called IT Strategy do some analysis with us, and they came up with 217 million shirts were printed in the United States in 2015 on garment printers, with an estimated retail value of $2.3 billion. There's a lot of money out there to be made, and a lot of customers are looking for that type of customization, that one-off type of job. But we're really just scratching the surface here. because the garment printing industry is estimated to be a $30 billion industry, and we're really only hitting just the small pieces right now, and as it's growing, its influence is becoming more and more dominant. You know, go to any trade show that is in this, printed sportswear. We just had an ISS this last weekend. 6 years ago, there were maybe 2 garment printers and everything was screen printing. Now there's garment printers everywhere, on every aisle. All of the money is being funded into direct-to-garment printing. It's becoming the preferred method of garment decoration. But like I said, we're still scratching the surface. There's a tremendous room for growth as the technology gets better and better and better. So what are some of the challenges for people that aren't in the digital world, right? These are the challenges that people that don't have direct-to-garment printers. Well, the production equipment can be costly and take up a lot of space. And what I mean by that is, think about what it costs to purchase a screen printing setup, even something as small as a 4-color process. Not only does it limit you in terms of the amount of colors that you can produce, but I'm in an office right now that is probably 15 by 20 feet, and that one piece of equipment would take up this entire room. Also, screen printing is an art, and you have to give credit to really good screen printers because they've crafted their art, and it requires a lot of time and effort to get that good at it. I mean, anybody can screen print a one-color design, but it's setting up those screens and getting them to align correctly with all the different colors that come along with it. Really, these screen printers are artists. But where they're at, their small jobs can't really result in no margins at all. They're basically doing them for cost just to keep the business coming in. Where screen printing really makes its money is on these 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 shirt orders. But on something that is 30, 40 shirts, I think we can all agree that the margins are very, very small. They also have a big issue with attracting new clients, which is why they do some of that small run stuff. If there's any screen printers on here, you guys can attest. I mean, it's nice to be able to do your bread and butter, but wouldn't it be great to do that small run stuff? Or if you ever have a customer that is ordered 500 shirts and comes back a week later and needs 5 more. Well, I hope you didn't burn your, have to reclaim your screens already. But if you had a direct garment printer, you could easily put those 5 right out with no problem. Also, they need a competitive edge. There's something we call a customer service quotient, and it's the ability to lock in repeat customers. And the way that the biggest struggles that we see is they screen printers and the like, they get the business at least initially, but they have a hard time bringing that business back to them. They have a hard time getting that the next time that customer needs a 5-shirt order, they know that screen printer is not going to be able to do it, so they go some other place. So these are the struggles that they come across. Also, lead times and ship times. It takes a long time to kind of build that business up, and then I don't know if you guys have run across this, but how many times have you tried to order shirts and get shirts done, and the turnaround time is 2 weeks? So it's a big issue in the screen printing world that is pushing people towards digital, which leads us to this next slide. And here are the solutions. With digital garment printers, there are no minimum orders. I don't care if it's 1 shirt or 1,000 shirts, 1 color or 1,000 colors. Your cost is the same to produce each shirt. And you can print those unlimited colors. Take a photo directly off your phone and print it onto a shirt. Screen printer legitimately can't. You can also customize and personalize each individual shirt. Imagine a school that has a volleyball team and being able to not only put the number on the back of the volleyball shirt, but maybe the kid's last name as well. Screen printers would be really hard-pressed to do something like that, whereas with digital printing, all you have to do is type it in and hit print. There's also now durable, high-volume digital apparel printers, and this is where you'll have to talk to your sales rep to determine if this is something that you need. But we have printers now that have the capacity to be incredibly competitive with orders as high as 500 shirts because the output has increased so much. They're also a lot easier to learn and operate, especially when you compare it to what it takes to learn how to screen print. I mean, I don't want to make it sound too simple, but as long as the file itself looks good, the digital file that you're printing, the printer's going to print what it sees. There's nothing really more to it than that, whereas a 20-year screen printing vet versus a 2-year screen printing vet, and you gave them the same logo, I bet you that 20-year screen printing veteran is going to produce a higher quality shirt. Well, with direct garment printing, from the very get-go, you can produce high quality stuff. There's also a lot easier predictable profit margins. And what I mean by that is because each shirt, you know exactly what it's going to cost you even before it comes out. There's inside the software, it tells you down to the penny what your ink cost is. You can add that to your shirt cost, and we'll get down to that later on. But it's easy and quick to understand that, hey, if this shirt's costing me $2 and I'm selling it for 10, I know I'm making $8 on this shirt. You can attract all different types of new businesses with samples. You can put their logos and campaign images onto the shirt. There's a lot quicker turnaround times. If somebody came in and said, hey, I need 10 shirts, you could literally, on some of our equipment, give you the worst case scenario, but if somebody came in and wanted 10 shirts, you could have all 10 shirts done in 15, 20 minutes, which gives you that quicker turnaround time. And you can eliminate those lead times, ship times, and the middlemen from the equation, especially from you promotional products people who are kind of outsourcing your jobs and having to rely on other people to provide the quality work that your customers are expecting. You being able to do it yourself and getting the quality that your customer is expecting and a quick turnaround time will make a big difference. There's also a minimum footprint. You can literally print out of your home. You can put it in a home office, a garage, basement, attic, whatever, however you guys have it all set up. The printer itself, depending on the units, we have ones that are 3 feet by 3 feet, and then units that are 4 feet by 4 feet. They don't take up a lot of space, and they have a high production capacity to be able to do that. So from a footprint standpoint, even if you own your own business and you have a shop somewhere, it's not going to dominate the area like screen printing equipment will do. So this next slide is about addressable markets. These markets were identified as steady and growing markets within the next 3 years. The top markets are bolded. I added this slide because I wanted everybody to, and I'm going to leave it up here, write down these places. These are the people that are buying shirts, okay? Retail stores, interior designers, corporate branding, government, ad agencies, manufacturing places, nonprofits, athletic teams, as we all know, schools, food services, healthcare, hospitality, business to consumer, transit. I mean, there are tons of different places that are ordering shirts on a regular basis, restaurants, bars, all different things. So these are kind of where you want to, this is where you want to plan your attack, so to speak, okay? These are the industries that you want to look at and go, okay, I need to start marketing. Where am I going to go? These are the places. Now the bold ones, the schools, corporate branding, nonprofits, and athletic teams, those are kind of they carry the biggest demand for garments. But these other places, healthcare institutions and the like, and retail stores, they also have a demand. So it's important to get out there and be in front of those types of places. Like I said, I'm trying to leave this up a little bit longer so that you guys can see it. If you don't get a chance to write everything down, we are going to have this on our website after the fact, so you'll be able to kind of refer back to it. But from a standpoint of where do I start in terms of marketing efforts, these are the places that you want to go to. Okay, so you have your printer, and you're wondering, where do I start? You know that now you just need to bring in some business. So the first thing that always seems to work best is that you just focus on your community. Focus on your local industries that I was telling you maybe before, restaurants, schools, bars, different businesses within your, maybe go to different business districts in your industry. But I want to share a really successful marketing tactic that a customer told me about. This was about 4 years ago, and to this day I try to get this out there as much as possible because I feel that this is a good first step in getting your business off the ground. It goes something a little like this. We all initially think that when we're starting a business, we want to get business cards for marketing efforts, right? You want to be able to hand out your business card. That's good, and you should. Or maybe you want to do a flyer or something that you can, or a mailer, a mass mailer to bring in those marketing ideas. All great ideas, and I'm not saying don't do them. But here's something that you have complete control over. You don't have to outsource, and is incredibly powerful. Every week, highlight 10 companies that you can go to, whether they're schools, restaurants, like I was saying, highlight 10 companies. But here's what you do. Instead of dropping off a business card or a flyer, print a shirt. Go buy some cheap white shirts for $1.50, $1.75, and print a 20-cent image on it. But on that image, and this is what my customer did, but on that image, he would make it seasonal. Now, for example, we have the Super Bowl right around the corner. You have to obviously be careful how you market certain things, but maybe a football, maybe a picture of a football on the shirt. But also on that shirt, I want you to highlight what sets you apart. And what does set you apart? No minimum order, unlimited colors, personalize and customize each and every shirt, 24-hour turnaround time. Literally create an image that has, and AnaJet can help with you with this, but maybe print a football, but write down everything that you guys do, that you can do with a direct-to-garment printer that your competitors can't, your screen printers can't. And print it directly onto the shirt with all your contact information. But here's the brilliance of it, and this is what really sold me on it, and it actually helped my customer get his return on investment within his first 90 days. He put it to me like this. He said, nobody throws away a shirt. I'm looking at my desk right now, and I have 20 business cards here, 10 in my drawer. I have all these business cards. To be honest, they've been sitting there a long time, and I haven't looked at them. Business cards are good, but sometimes they end in the trash, down the side of your seat in your car. They're easy to forget about. But if you have a shirt, it's a powerful marketing tool. Not just because people will see what you can offer, but it doesn't end up in the trash. It ends up in your dresser. It ends up in your closet. It ends up in the rag bag in your garage. And it always is a upfront marketing idea every time they see it. And the guy put it to me, one of my customers put it to me very succinctly. He said, I highlight 10 companies, 10 to 20 companies a week, and I go out and I print the same image and I drop them off, but I don't drop off of my business card. I drop off the shirt, and not only do they get to see the quality that I can produce, but they also get to see all the flexibility that I have. And he did this for every week, highlighted 10 to 20 companies, and he went out just one day a week to each one and dropped off these shirts. And sometimes he got orders directly from the person right then, but for the most part, he started doing it. And within a few weeks, he started getting phone calls. Somebody needed shirts for their softball team. Somebody needed shirts for a family reunion. And he started getting so many phone calls that after his first 90 days, not only did he make enough money to pay for his machine, but he actually had enough business to where he didn't have to go back out and continue to market. It was a great way for him to get his name out in the local community. Okay. The brilliance of this is, like I said, nobody throws away a shirt, and it's also incredibly inexpensive to make. For example, what I mean by that is, think about 20 cents worth of ink on a $1.75 shirt. If you highlight 10 companies for a $2 shirt, your all-in cost per week is only 20 bucks. So for the full month, your full marketing expense is what, $80 to $100? I'll bet you anything that if you do that, if you take that marketing approach, at least if you take nothing away from this webinar, do that with once you get your printer, and I'll bet you within the first 90 days you'll have orders calling you. Now, it's important to do some of the other things that I'm going to talk about later, but this is the critical piece of it, because it's a cheap, easy way to get your name out there, and nobody will throw that shirt away. He still gets orders to this day, 4 years later, where people randomly open up their dresser, doing some spring cleaning, see that they can do shirts, and then that starts spreading the word. He still gets orders from it. Nobody will throw away that shirt, and it has a very low cost to produce. So highlight 10 to 20 places you can go on a weekly basis and start dropping those shirt off at those places. Go face to face with them. Also, contact some of your friends and family. Most of the time, they'll have they'll know somebody that has a need, or if a need comes up, your name will start to come up. And then offer a referral bonus. There's pretty good margins that we'll discuss later in this webinar, but there's really good margins in this. So if somebody brought you an order, you could give them some sort of referral. I mean, obviously make money on it, but give them a nice thank you. And talk about that with your friends and family. Let them know that anybody you send me, I'll give you a $20 gift card to the local TGIF or Chili's or something like that. It's just an added benefit, and it creates a little bit of value. Another good way to do it. So after you've identified those 10 or 20 different companies that you want to go to, that order shirts, schools, restaurants, like I was talking about, contact all your competitors. Go to the screen printer that doesn't have a direct-to-garment printer and say, hey, all your small run jobs that you're turning away, I'll do them and cut you in on it. Just send me them. Now, these jobs, admittedly, are smaller margin jobs. Instead of making $8 to $15 on the shirt, maybe you're only making $3 to $5, but you're still making money. So find your local, Google, your local area screen printers, the local embroiderers, the sign shops, the trophy and award shops. All of these places, all of those groups, all have a need at some point or another to be able to do shirts. And a lot of them don't have the direct garment printer or embroiderers, sign shops, and trophy award shops, a screen printing equipment, so they can't do it. So they end up turning that business away, or they refer it to somebody else. Well, be that referral. Be that person that they refer to. Make sure that those competitors get a cut of what you're doing, but make a little bit of money on it. It'll keep your business going. It'll keep some extra business here and there. Admittedly, like I said, not necessarily the highest margin jobs, so it's not a huge focus for you, but it will give you smaller margins that'll come in and make you more and more productive and make you money on each order. The next stage is really looking for web opportunities, whether it's eBay, Etsy, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You have to have a social media presence, not only so you can post your designs and recent orders, but for a vehicle for your customers to give you any positive or negative feedback. Negative, hopefully not, but positive feedback. Having a social media influence is probably one of the more critical pieces of this whole thing. And think of it like this. If you are searching for a company, say you Google a company, the company's either website or their Facebook page is going to be the first couple of things that come up, because that's what gets the most traffic, okay? So when you Google something, that's on the first page, the first couple of links are going to either be their website or a Facebook page. So it's important, if you want your company to come up, or if you want your t-shirt company to come up, you have to have some sort of social media presence and a way to interact with your customers. As we all know, everybody is on Facebook these days. Okay, people spend half their day, in some cases, on Facebook, if not more. I know my wife lives on Instagram, but these are all of the social media influence, the marketing efforts that you guys will do. Your Facebook, your Instagram, these types of places are sounding boards for your customers, their successes, and you'll have the ability to monitor it effectively. eBay is a good one because you can start branching out to customers all over the country. Same with Etsy. One of my I call it my dear friend now, but she was originally started as a customer. She does all of her business over Etsy. She's got a six-figure income printing business that everything is done over Etsy, and she prints baby clothes, basically onesies and baby bibs and things like that. And it's so interesting that it's so unique to her, because it's not as if she's just printing whatever the customer wants. She specifically markets animals. So she'll print like a giraffe on a onesie or a elephant on a baby bib, and that's her niche. And she's made a six-figure income out of that, and that's what she prints. So, and it's all based off through her Etsy account, which is easy enough to set up. You can literally type in Etsy.com and go up to the contact us, and they'll walk you through how to set up your own Etsy store, your own web-based store that you can have your customers go to and buy designs that you've created off there. Another big one is events. I'm not sure how many on here have ever been to any of trade shows that we're at, but we have a policy here at AnaJet that at all times the printer must be printing. So if at any point, for example, we were at ISS, we had 3 printers there. We had 4 sales reps and a few other marketing people there. And at any point, if somebody was talking with a customer, whoever was free was supposed to go over to the printer and print a shirt. And the reason why we do this is the same reason why you would want to do this at these types of events, because it's a novelty. It draws the eye. People like to see it, how it works. It's probably what initially drew you, or at least made you interested in direct-to-garment printing in the first place. And if you go to these different types of events, because again, the printer is portable, so feel free to take it to these, car shows, dog shows, state fairs, school fundraisers, all of the different Boy Scout, Girls Clubs, YMCAs, 5K, 10K runs, all of the things that you see here. It's real easy to get in contact with these organizations and set up a booth and print. My brother's wife has, it's funny, she works probably maybe once a week, and they live in Huntington Beach, and there is a farmer's market down there every Tuesday. And on that during that farmer's market, you can go down and get fresh produce, and it's kind of a cool event. The kids have there's live music, and there's stuff for the kids, jumpers and things like that. But she also set up a booth where she prints shirts. She'll take photographs of people and print that directly onto the shirt. So maybe grandma is there holding her kid or her granddaughter, and she wants it printed on a shirt. She can easily have it printed right there on the spot. And the beauty with these events, because people are buying one at a time, you can charge $20 a shirt. $20 for a customizable shirt that maybe costs you only $2 to $3 to make. It really is I would really emphasize that if you can get out there with your printer and go to these types of events, not only are they incredibly high margins, but it's a good way for branding to get your name out there and your company. But then also create pretty cool images for these customers, these photos, and have them be not only happy with the end result, but the novelty of it allows you to charge $20 and make a pretty fair margin on it. So going back to that first part about focusing on your community, here's a great way to at least get started and identify maybe your 4th of July parade or something along those lines where you can set up a booth and actually print right there on demand for customers. And not only will they get to see it and have the novelty of it, but they'll be happy to hand you a $20 bill on something that costs you $2 to $3 to make. All right, I'm going to go back just real quickly, just a brief overview. So where do you start? Focus on creating samples. Like I said before, if there's anything that you can take away from this, sample shirts for customers is a huge win. Screen printers can't do this. And highlight the things that set you apart. Remember, no minimums, unlimited color, 24-hour turnaround times. Customize and personalize every shirt. Make it seasonal. If you have 4th of July, make a fireworks design or pull a fireworks design off the internet and add that text below it. Have contact information on there, your email address, your phone number, so they know where to go when they need those shirts. And use your shirt as your business card, because remember, nobody throws away a shirt. Contact your competitors, your screen printers, your embroiderers, the sign shops, trophy award shops, these types of places that they get the need. You know, the trophy and awards place that just did 20 to 30 trophies for that local sports team would love to be able to sell that local sports team shirts as well. And if they get that kind of request and that kind of offer, and you can do it for them, admittedly smaller margin jobs, but it keeps money coming in. Have a social media presence. Look for those web opportunities. Okay, eBay, Etsy, Pinterest, Facebook. Create a t-shirt Facebook page or an Instagram account, something that your customers can go to and they can find contact information for you. And then hit the events. Start going to your local farmers markets, the car shows, the different events that are going on. I'm sure if you contact the city, there'll be many events that they have scheduled throughout the months, and you'll be able to set up a little bit of booths for a small initial investment that you can have people start buying shirts off you directly. So those are 4 initial steps that I wanted to really emphasize. And when we put this webinar together on how to make money with direct-to-garment printing, we really wanted to, we got all of this information from our current customer base. It's not like we're pulling this out of thin air. These are where we hear success stories. When I have customers that are making 6-figure incomes, if not more, off their direct-to-garment printer, and we do interviews with them and different things like that, we ask, what was your most successful way of bringing in business? And these were the 4 areas. That first area that I mentioned, though, the creating samples, a business card on a shirt, was by far the most successful. But people have made a lot of money just on different events at car shows and the like. So those are the 4 really nuts and bolts. So when you get your printers and you're looking, okay, how do I start bringing in business? Start looking at those 4 different areas. Now let's talk about the mPower and the cost to produce. Okay. So AnaJet obviously manufactures the AnaJet mPower Gen 2. It's the fastest single platen printer in our class. Okay, we use Ricoh Gen 4 print heads. I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but Ricoh, a couple weeks back, recently acquired AnaJet. So we're really excited about that. It means a lot of extra support and service for our customer base, and a lot of extra money for R&D and growing the AnaJet brand. So we're really excited. Better technology and things like that. So it's going to be a positive thing for AnaJet moving forward. But the mPower Gen 2 uses Ricoh technology with our print heads, but it also has the least amount of preventative maintenance in the industry. We use industrial commercial grade components. This is not a paper printer. Okay, this is a direct-to-garment printer that is meant to last. Stainless steel industrial grade printer. We give you first-class free technical support and training, and we have the lowest ink cost versus our competitors. Give you a rapid return on investment, and you can also print more than just T-shirts. There's more to it, right? There's all sorts of different things like extended media, the foil prints, which if you've been on our website, you've probably seen some of the videos. Printing on wood and jeans and hats and socks and all sorts of different things that you can print on to add value to what you can offer. Socks are pretty popular right now. I think that if there's anything that I would kind of gravitate towards if I was starting my own business with a direct garment printer, socks would be something that I would definitely pursue. But there's 3D printing. There's just a lot that you have the capability to do. Although the printer is designed to print on garments, we've experimented. Our customers have experimented, printed on all sorts of different things, and I encourage you to look at those different added value items, because not only because they bring in high margins, but it's that whole idea about bringing those customers back, right? We don't just want them to use you once. You want them to keep coming back, and if you offer a lot of different things that you print on, it'll open up that opportunity for them to come back. So we make two mPowers. There's the MP10 and the MP5. The MP10 has 6 print heads. The MP5 has 3 print heads. Outside, aesthetically, they look exactly the same. The only difference is the speed in which they print. You can see here that the MP10 can print a shirt in about 16 seconds, 16 to 20. The MP5 about 30 to 40. Dark shirts as little as 48 seconds on the MP10, and on the MP5 a minute and a half. And then there's some reasonable output. And this is where I think you need to discuss, when you're looking at direct garment printing, this is where you should probably go to and discuss with your sales rep or your regional manager to kind of figure out what printer is going to be the right fit for you. You know, if you're printing, you know, a couple hundred shirts a week, then the MP5 is more than enough. But if you're printing, you know, 500 to 1,000 shirts a week, then maybe the MP10 is going to save you a little bit more time. For example, if you can print, call it 60 shirts an hour on one machine and 30 shirts an hour on the other, that extra output might save you on some of your labor costs and maybe get you to sleep a little sooner so you're not up till midnight fulfilling that order. Now, some of the things that AnaJet did with the mPower Gen 2 and some of the differences that kind of separate us from our competitors, we created something called a closed-loop circulating ink delivery system. Okay, that's really a fancy way of saying that we vacuum sealed everything and we circulate the ink. The concept is this. The white ink, as I'm sure you guys have all heard, has a substance in it called titanium dioxide. It's actually the pigment. It's what makes it white. In fact, look around where you're at right now. Anything that you see that's white most likely has titanium dioxide in it. But one of the things that it does is it dries very, very quickly. And the best way I've been able to describe this is if you've ever had a bucket of paint that you left the top off of, and there's a white film, or there's a film on top of the paint, that's what happens with titanium dioxide when it comes into contact with the air. So to prevent that from happening, we seal the cartridges, we seal the inner workings of the machine to make sure that no air, no dust, nothing can touch this ink until it's out onto the shirt. The other thing that it does is the titanium dioxide is heavier than the rest of the ink that's made up in this consistency. So what happens over time is the ink will literally start to sink in the lines. And that's where the circulation system comes in. So that when you're not using the printer every hour, these pumps are engaged to circulate the ink inside the printer. It doesn't actually exit the printer, so you're not having any ink waste, but you are keeping the white ink at the right viscosity and mix that you want it to be at all times. A lot of older technologies didn't have this, and a lot of people that struggled with white ink clogging, this was the main reason behind it, because and a lot of ink waste that was associated with it because they had to constantly keep that ink moving. Well, now the printer does it for you automatically, so you don't need to do anything, and it doesn't waste ink while doing it. What this means for you is better ink flow. It means less head cleanings, which means greater ink economy, less maintenance, and easier maintenance, less downtime, which means lower usage costs. So all in all, because you'll have less maintenance going on, and because the circulation system, you won't have to purge your system to get the white ink back to where you want it to be, because you won't have to do those things, you'll be saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year on your just an ink cost on your printer. Also, we have, with the new Rico Gen 4 printheads, we have full control of ink flow and volume. So I can saturate a shirt on one pass. I don't have to do multiple passes. So whether I'm printing on a sweatshirt, which is a much thicker garment that needs more saturation, or a t-shirt, with one pass with the correct settings, I can saturate the shirt completely the way I want it to. We also have our new AnaJet RIP software, which you can just drag and drop right into the RIP. You can remove the color in the background right there. It also has that ink cost calculator, which is the piece that I think is the most critical, because even before you print, you're going to know, okay, this shirt's costing me 60 cents an ink, or this shirt's costing me 30 cents an ink. That way you know how to price appropriately. And you can also have control over how much ink you lay down to such a degree that once you get really competent with running the RIP, you can duplicate the same quality in terms of print, but maybe use 20% less ink, which will add up and save you some additional money. We also give all of our customers free lifetime software upgrades. So anytime we have any updates or anything that go on with the printer, the printer and the software, we give you that for free. Which leads me into this next piece, which I just mentioned briefly, but we give all of our customers free lifetime technical support, free lifetime software upgrades, free lifetime firmware upgrades, and free lifetime training. So we're in this to help you with it. Please utilize the support and service that we give because it makes the difference in your success. Come to the training, take advantage of the latest software so that you can increase the overall quality of your print. Same with the firmware. Excuse me. Okay, cost to produce. What is it? What's your cost per shirt? Excuse me. Cost can vary depending on the image size, color, size of garment, all that good stuff. But here's the broad strokes of it. Remember, it does tell you even before you print what it costs. But I'm basing this off two different ways to print: light shirt printing and dark shirt printing. Light shirt printing requires no white ink. Dark shirt requires a white ink underbase. On a print size of 12 by 12, your estimated ink cost for a light shirt would be about 20 cents worth of ink. Okay, if you go a little bit bigger, it may be 30 cents. If you go a little smaller, it may be 10 cents. But a good average is 20 cents. Excuse me again, I'm sorry. There's no pretreatment cost with light shirts because you're not using any white ink. Your shirt cost can vary anywhere from $1.50 to $2.50. So you have a total cost per shirt of $1.70 to $2.70. I put a little bit of a shirt cost variance there because you can buy really cheap shirts for as low as $1.50, and you can buy really nice shirts for as high as $2.50. A lot of it too has to do with how many shirts you buy. You can get higher quality shirts for cheaper if you buy in bulk, which we'll get to in a second. I'll give you a couple different places that you can go to get that kind of stuff. But it's important to know that that's about the average. So when you're putting your business plan together and you're trying to calculate, okay, how many shirts do I need to sell to recoup my cost of the equipment? These are the good numbers to use. Now on a dark shirt, you have to use white ink. So a same 12 by 12 print, because you're using white ink and CMYK on top of it, your ink cost does go up a bit to around 85 cents on average. A little bit more, it could go up to $1. If the image is bigger, maybe down to 40, 50 cents if the image is smaller. But there's also a pre-treat cost. Now pre-treatment, for all those that are on who don't know what it is, it's essentially a primer for paint. Think about it, if you were going to paint your wall, you'd put a primer coat down, and it makes the white really jump off the shirt. Now there's a lot of different ways that you can apply pre-treatment. You can use it with like a Wagner spray gun, which seems to be the most common. There's pre-treatment machines. You can buy pre-treated shirts already. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and everybody's a little bit different, and everybody has their own way they like to do it. So I'd recommend if you have a concern or you want to go into more detail about the pre-treatment and how to actually do it, go to your regional manager, your sales rep, and talk to them about what your plan is in your specific business, and they can help guide you to tell you which way is going to be the right way to do it. Dark shirts are typically a little bit more expensive than light shirts, so $2 to $3, depending on the color, the size of the garment. But your average total cost would be about $3.35 to $4.35 on average. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more, depending on the size of the print and obviously the type of garment that you use. But on average, those are the kind of numbers that you want to look at. Now, where can you get these shirts? So I've listed here a bunch of hyperlinks, and I'm pretty sure you should be able to just click on them, and it'll open up in your internet browser. Alpha Shirt Company, Amtex, Best Blanks is a good one. They have not only a bunch of different kinds of shirts and stuff that you can buy, but they also have like mouse pads and beer koozies and some of that other stuff that you can print on and have some success with. They have good prices there. Imprints Wholesales, Bodek and Rhodes, Sandmar, Gildan, Delta Apparel, Spectre Tees. Now, Spectra and AnaJet have been working together a long time, and they actually are great because they offer the same rates to our customers as we pay. So if you go to Spectra and order your shirts from them, you're going to pay what we pay. Basically, whether you're buying, they're giving you bulk pricing right out the gate for any AnaJet customer. So if you own an AnaJet and you go to Spectra Tees, they're going to give you the rate that we would pay when we buy thousands of shirts. So that's kind of a nice thing with Spectra. And they're a great group, and we love working with them. We've been working with them for years. And they have every style and everything that you would need, all from double XLs, triple XLs, all the way down to babies' clothes and things like that. They're a great organization, and I highly recommend them. And they'll give it to you at a good rate. This last little bit is about our Spark software. This comes with the printer, depending on it does warrant mentioning. If you're listening to this, you automatically qualify for a specific discount with AnaJet. So contact your regional manager after this is done, and they'll outline the deal that you guys can get. Any webinar attendees, and we have a list of everybody here. As long as we cross-reference your name on the list, we give you a special pricing that nobody else is going to be getting. Part of that special pricing includes this Spark software. There's a couple links there that you can click on that gives you a demo of it. But what's really neat about Spark is that it's a toned-down version of Photoshop, so you can add text right there on the shirt, and it'll give you a display of what it looks like. You can change colors. You can rotate the image, move it, position it however you want, and it links directly with the AnaJet printer. So you hitting the print button on this will automatically drop the image into our software that rips it, and it'll pop up onto your printer. So you can literally make adjustments right on the fly. So for example, if you were printing, this one says Samantha Fisher. If you were printing that same image but wanted somebody else's name on one print, and then the next print was a different name, and so on, you could literally just delete it, type in the new one, hit print, delete it, type in the new one, hit print, delete it, type in the new one, and hit print, and add that text to each individual shirt, and it links directly with our printer. It also has a really easy invoice generating piece of it. So when you're creating the image, and this is for your customer, it'll outline the type of shirt, the color of the shirt, how many shirts there are, and their cost in an invoice format, something that you can deliver directly to your customer and say, okay, this is what it costs you to make for me to make these shirts, so that they have a clear understanding of how much it is. So instead of creating or getting some super expensive accounting software, this can kind of do it for you. It's an all-in-one package that we teamed up with Spark with to try to make it easier for our customers to not only create and design their own images and change their images, but also be able to track how much money they're owed by creating invoices and a back-end accounting type piece. Okay, so we're going to get to the Q&A. So go ahead, if you have any questions, please go ahead and send me a chat. I'm going to send a quick note through the chat to all people. Feel free to shoot me any questions that you might have. Just to recap briefly, though, for all webinar attendees, we are offering a special discount on any of our printers, so contact your regional manager. Sorry, there's also will the Spark software work with the Sprint printer? Good question. That's the first question. The Spark software won't link with it right now, but we are working on a way to have that kind of be transitioned so that right now it only works directly with the mPowers, but it is on the docket to eventually start working with the Sprint printer. Real quickly back before I start going into more and more of these questions, like I said, you'll be able to get a special discount for the on the printer for all customers that did send to this. So like I said, I encourage you to reach out to your regional manager. There's savings upwards of about $8,000. Another question, will the fact that RICO is now involved change AnaJet? You know, yeah, I'm sure there will be some changes. For one, I can discuss is, and I'm actually jumping on a conference call in a few weeks to discuss this, is the service piece of it. RICO has a service side of the industry that is pretty dominant across the United States. And one of the main discussion points is how can we make AnaJet and our customers have better service and support out in the field. Now, we give all of our customers the free lifetime technical support, and they come to us directly for that through our tech department. But what about for people that aren't, you know, right here with us, you know, like, or in the surrounding area, our customers on the East Coast? How can we help support and service them better on that end? And we're going to utilize this division of RICO called RICO Services to help with our customers so that they get a better overall experience with AnaJet. And it's not, realistically, let's look at it this way. It's not like that we're just nice people. We recognize that the better service and support we give you across the board, the more ink you buy, and the better for AnaJet it is, right? So we're really trying to focus in that direction. There's also going to be a lot of new developments that it's still kind of fresh and new, but there's going to be a lot of new stuff that we're going to drive towards. We're really going to push to have AnaJet be the staple of direct-to-garment printing in this industry. What is the cost of the Spark software? The Spark software is normally $695, but for all webinar attendees, you get it for free. So in addition to the other discounts, there's, like I said, there's about $8,000 in discounts that you can get. You get the Spark software for free, which is a nice addition. The next one is, does AnaJet offer a DTG that has a built-in pre-treatment step? You know, right now we don't. It is a separate piece. Although there is a lot of interest in having a printer that pre-treats and prints at the same time. The one caveat of this is that the pre-treatment is sticky. So what happens is when you have a printer that pre-treats and prints at the same time, there tends to become a lot of maintenance involved with that. So we're working on ways to eliminate that, or tone down the maintenance that's required on the printers. We don't want to add more headache, so to speak, to these kinds of things. Okay, let's see. The next one is, what warranty does AnaJet offer with the purchase? So we give you a 1-year warranty, but like I said, free lifetime tech support, free lifetime software upgrades, and free lifetime firmware upgrades, and free training. Next one is, what is the power supply needed for the MP5 and MP10? We run off of 110, so you plug it into an outlet. The only piece of equipment that actually does require a little bit more juice, and so you might want to have a dedicated outlet, is the heat press. If I remember correctly, it pulls something like 18 amps, so that's a big power surge. But as for the printer itself, it's very minimal. Next one, can you queue jobs to print? Absolutely. Good question. So on the front of the printer, there's a control panel. The control panel actually has 8 gigs of memory in it. So you can send as many jobs as you need to, and it'll stagger them as it's received them. Okay, so you can have, this one image, maybe you're printing 5 of those. It'll pop up in your queue, in the control panel queue, in the jobs waiting to be completed task. And then the next one will be right behind it, and it even notifies you when there's a new job available. So you can put as many as 8 gigs worth of images in there, which is a lot of images. So you can stagger them. That's a great question. Looking for the next one is looking for actual cost of the various mPower printers. So like I said, we are offering for specific customers that came to this webinar, you get a specific discount on the printer. that drops the cost. I can give you the MSRP is $24,000 for the MP5 and $34,000 for the MP10, but contact your RM or your sales rep here, and they'll be able to outline a discount that is valued at over $8,000. If you don't need any ancillary items, you literally can get $8,000 off the price, or you can get a bunch of different free accessories and things like that. Next one is what resolution is best? You know, that's a good question, and it depends on what you're printing on, okay? The printer has the capability to print as high as 1200 by 1200 dpi, but that's overkill for a shirt. But you know where that makes a lot of sense? On a piece of canvas that doesn't require the, that doesn't absorb the ink as well as, say, a t-shirt would. So when you're printing on a shirt, 600 by 600 dpi is fine, or 1200 by 600 is fine. But if you're printing on a substrate that isn't as absorbent, you can print in a higher DPI so that you can get a higher quality. We give you kind of default settings based off what you're printing in the software, so it kind of does it for you. But that's a good question because it's important to understand how that all works. Is this Spark software Mac compatible? It's a good question. I'm 99% sure that it is. But our RIP, or at least our latest version of our RIP 4.0, isn't Mac compatible, but it is in the docket for becoming Mac compatible and going to be rolled out for you guys there shortly. But that's a good question. Right now it's just PC, but we'll be on Mac in no time with this new version. And I think we literally just launched it 2 weeks ago, and it's just the PC version. And I'm confident, though, that the Spark one is Mac compatible, but because the RIP is PC right now, you may have to run it through your PC. Next one is, what happens if the t-shirt has a lot of lint on the surface of the fabric? Does this clog the print head? You know, that's a great question. So depending on the quality of the shirt, the knit of the shirt is either going to be high or low quality, right? So if you have a nice quality shirt, a shirt that maybe runs you around $3, call it, the weave is going to be and the knit is going to be very fine, so the fibers won't be there. A poor quality shirt, the fibers will be there. One quick and easy way to ensure that you're going to get a good quality print all the time, if you have that concern, press the shirt for about 5 seconds before you start to print. Okay, take it over the heat press, slam it down, and you're basically just flattening down all the fibers and ironing it, getting it nice and flat. So when the printer starts printing, it doesn't have any of those fibers. Those fibers, realistically, it's not gonna clog your print head at all. It's more of a probably a nuisance. If you do have more than anything, you might have to just wipe the nozzle plate to get any loose fibers off there. But we never really run across a situation where that's a big issue. Good question, though. What are the training locations? Only in California. Yeah, for right now, we have we do our class every Friday here. We also have training courses online, videos and the like online that you can access. We'd really we tend to like to have all our customers come out to California because in addition to the training, they also get to meet all of our support personnel, basically the whole company, and you get to see kind of the printers and where they're made and how we manufacture them, and it creates kind of just a better bond between customer and the seller. Like we like having you out here so that you can see where these things are made and meet all the people that actually put their sweat and everything into it. Yes, you can view the webinar at a later time. We're going to post it on our website, and it'll have those slides that I referenced on the marketing aspects that you need to go after. Can you drag and drop using Adobe Illustrator? So you can use Adobe Illustrator files, but Adobe Illustrator, if the file isn't saved in Adobe Illustrator, you can't drag it and drop it into the RIP. You have to save it in Adobe Illustrator, and then you can drag and drop it. I hope that answered your question. Do you need Spark if you already have Photoshop? No, but Spark is really easy. If you like Photoshop, keep going with it. But Spark has other features besides what Photoshop can do. Like I was mentioning before, the ability to invoice and things like that. So it has some other features that Photoshop doesn't. I really encourage you to explore it. It's a really neat, cool software that that links directly with AnaJet. For example, if you had Photoshop and you wanted to, you would have to drag and drop the image into our RIP and then hit print. Whereas with Spark, you can just hit print in the Spark software and it'll send it all automatically to the printer. Next question is, who's my regional manager and how do I contact him? If you'd like, you can email me and I'll put you in contact with the right person. My email address is A as in Adam, T as in Tom, I, P as in Paul, R as in Robert, E as in Edward, at AnaJet.com. So that's ATIPRE at AnaJet.com. Go ahead and email me, and I'll have one of my regional managers reach out to you. Will the Spark software also estimate ink needed for the job? The specific Spark software won't, but because it does go through the RIP process before it gets sent to the printer, the RIP will estimate the ink needed for the job. So you'll just have to open up the RIP to see how much the ink actually costs you. Does it come with clip art and fonts, and can the clip art be edited? Yes. Great. The Spark software does. It comes with a lot of different clip art that you can use and a lot of different fonts that you can use. And yes, you can edit each and every one of them. So good question. How can you view a live person demo without doing a show? That's a good question. It's possible that, I mean, just to make it as simple as possible, you could probably do like a FaceTime on your phone, or maybe we could set up a Skype call so that we could do the demo right on site with you looking at it. We'd be happy to look into that. Contact your regional manager. I'm sure we can arrange something like that. So that at least electronically you could do it. There also is a possibility to have, and this one becomes a little dicey because sometimes our customers don't want to share their personal information and they don't want to, they look at you as kind of competitors, but we could potentially send you to one of our customers that has a printer in your area. That's a possibility, although that tends to be kind of difficult because, like I said, the customers that are in your area may look at you as competition and don't want to share their information. However nice everybody is, that usually is a tough one. Using that last image of Samantha, what is the amount of time needed to go from opening an email to download image to software to making change to hit print? Good question on that. Image that I showed you on the Spark software, in fact, I'm going to go back just to reference that. This image right here, from the time that it takes you to load the image, make the adjustments, could be seconds, but from the time you hit print to where it rips it and sends it over to the printer, it's probably no more than about 30 seconds. If you do make the adjustments to the image, it's really how quickly and how knowledgeable you are on the software. Your first one may take you a little bit more time, but as you do it more, it'll go a lot faster. Is Rico planning on raising prices anytime soon? That's a good question. I don't know. The thought right now is that everything will kind of stay the same. I can't really speak to it. They're going to obviously gauge the market and see what is available. I do know that we, at least right now, have been kept autonomous and that we can kind of run our business as we see fit. And we are being very aggressive with our pricing, which is why we did this webinar so that everybody here can get a nice, nice discount on the printer. But I'm not 100% sure if they're planning on raising the prices on the printers. But good question, and I'm sure we'll know in the coming months. Can you have access to the marketing strategies to yeah, so the webinar and the recording will be on our website, so you'll have immediate access to that. You'll be able to see that on our website at your leisure. Will we need to buy anything to print on hats, woods, etc. With the Sprint printer? There are tables that are meant for there's a youth table that is really easy for printing on kids' clothes. There's a sleeve table, which is really easy for printing on the sleeves. Most of the other items can be laid directly on the platen, so like wood, for your example, can just be laid right there. So you'd be okay there. It's really the kind of more unique items, like if you're trying to print on a short sleeve shirt, the sleeve table does come in handy. If you're trying to print on a onesie, the youth table does come in handy. Can you do more specific accounting with Spark software and even find out where our largest sales come from? It does track your customers and how much money they spend. So yeah, you can figure out which customers are your better, your higher volume customers. What is the average cost of pretreatment? So that kind of varies depending on the size of the print, but I used 50 cents, which is probably a little high. But I tend to want to be very conservative so that you always come out ahead. In fact, I tell even my customers, even though your ink cost is not going to average $1, if you build in $1 to every job just as like a round number, you'll always come out ahead. And that's kind of the way I did it with pretreatment too. If you go at 50 cents, you'll always come out okay. Next one is, what is your pretreatment method? We do literally all of them. We have like 3 pretreatment machines in the back that we've tested, that we worked with. I really like the Viper 1 electric pretreatment machine. It's relatively inexpensive, and it's enclosed and very consistent, and you'll maximize every drop of pretreatment out of it, which I like. But to this day, the majority of the way that we pretreat is with a Wagner spray gun to this day. So it's up to your discretion. A lot of it will determine like where you're going to be pretreating. That might, and then also financially, if you have the money to invest in a pretreatment machine, I do like them, and I do recommend the Viper 1, but it's definitely not the only way to do it. Next one is, have heard much about humidity levels for printers. Do you have to have a specific temperature-controlled room? Really, really good question. This is how humidity works. The ink is water-based, okay? So if you're in a dry climate, the water in the ink starts to evaporate. If you're in a humid climate, the water in the ink doesn't really evaporate that fast, okay? That's why humidity is critical. Temperature across the nation, you're going to be fine pretty much, but humidity specifically is important. Not only will it lead to greater ink economy, so meaning you'll get more out of your ink, but you'll have better ink flow and overall a little bit higher quality results. And you'll be able to print a little bit faster, incidentally enough. So it is important to have a good humid environment. If you're in a dry climate, will it be the end of the world? No, you'll be fine. You'll have to probably print in a little bit different way, and your print quality will still be good, but you just need to know how to manipulate the rip to get what you want. But if you went to Home Depot and bought a $100 humidifier, a non-missing humidifier, and stuck it right next to the printer, it would be an amazing investment in the long run for you. Keeping the humidity levels up and where the printer's at does make a good difference. That being said, we go to all these different trade shows and stuff in the middle of Las Vegas or wherever, and we don't bring humidifiers with us, and it's about as dry as it can be, and we print fine and don't have an issue. Sometimes we have to adjust the way that the printer prints to make sure that we're getting the coverage that we need, and it would be ideal if we had the humidifier next to it, but again, it's not the end of the world. Is it suggested to use a heat press for curing or a regular screen printing dryer? Good question. Whether you use a dryer, a conveyor dryer, or a heat press, that's fine. Whatever one you want, that's the way. I mean, they both will work just fine. There is a difference. The dryer will leave, when it comes off the dryer, the print will feel slightly raised, more like a screen print. With a heat press, the pressure actually flattens the image down a little bit, so it feels a little softer to the touch. So it may be what your customer's expectations are as well. Okay, so look at it that way. If you have a dryer and you don't want to get a heat press, use the dryer. If you want to use the heat press, go ahead and use the heat press. Both will work just fine. The key to having good wash results, though, is to make sure that that T-shirt and the ink that's on it are hitting the correct temperature and times. With the ink that comes supplied with the initial order, how many shirts will that print for light shirts? That's a good question. So there's, being conservative, 400 to 500 light shirts maybe. It's probably a good estimate. The next one is, what if you upgrade the printer after I buy? Good question. Like I said, we give all of our customers free lifetime software upgrades and free lifetime firmware upgrades. So anytime we make improvements to the printer, we give you those free upgrades right then and there. The only time that it would be anything kind of new is if we built a whole new printer, which we have a track record of doing every 2 to 3 years, and we just launched the Gen 2 late last year. So that's going to be our printer for the foreseeable future. Does the Sprint do everything the other printers do? Yeah, for the most part. We don't sell the only one thing that you can't, well, you can do it, but we don't sell it, is we don't have a hat platen for the Sprint printer. We have one for the mPower, but not for the Sprint. So, but outside of that, it can do anything else, and we've even had customers print on hats with the Sprint, making up their own, jig to put that on there, and that works fine for them. Whatever you guys need to do. Okay, the next one is, can we pre-treat a great many shirts in advance and then print on them later? Yes, absolutely. Pre-treat them, fold them up, put them in a box, and use as needed. No problem. They have a very long shelf life. You're never going to run. Some of the shows we do, the shirts that have been probably sitting in a box for months when they're pre-treated. When you take the machine outdoors, is there a shutdown process? Can ink be used again? Good question. If the printer, we like to have power to the printer at all times so that it can run that circulation, right? But if you are going to move it from one location to the next, you don't need to drain the lines. If it's only going to be disconnected from the printer for a short time, call it a day or so, don't worry about emptying the ink out. Just transport the printer just like you would. Unplug it, move it, plug it back in, and start printing again. You'll be fine. The one thing I would caution is that there is a waste ink tank at the very back of the printer that you should probably empty that before you move the printer, because if that tips over, ink can spill inside the printer. You don't want that. So there's no real big deal when you ask about a shutdown process and can the ink be used again. Yeah, it can be used again, and unplug it, move it to the next location, plug it back in, and you'll be good to go. Next one, when would you use the RIP and when would you use Spark? When you're using Spark, it uses the RIP automatically for you. So you're going to use the RIP no matter what. If you're running, the nice part about Spark is not only does it have the features to adjust the image, but it tracks all of your prints and your invoices so that you can know exactly what you're printing for the customer. So I guess if you're printing and it's for a customer, I would use Spark. If you're just printing because you want to maybe make some marketing material for hitting those different places like I talked about before, you're printing 20 shirts to go to those bars, restaurants, and schools with, and you probably don't need to use Spark, and you can just use the RIP, but it's to your discretion. What other substrates, other fabrics can this print on? So I'm going to start with just this. The printer was designed and built to print on garments, right? So anything, jeans, cotton, shirt, sweatshirt, anything like that, you're in good shape. Even 50-50 poly-cotton blends, you're going to be in good shape. You can also print on 100% polyester with a different kind of ink that is meant specifically for synthetic fabrics, but you're limited to light-colored shirts. In terms of other substrates, we have had success printing on wood, metal, canvas, even glass. Creates like a stained glass look. We experiment with this kind of stuff and do it, and it ends up looking good. I encourage you guys to experiment too. If you need a little bit of guidance, some of the people here can help you with, okay, this is how we printed on glass. This was our success with it. This is what we did. We'd be happy to share that information to you. How much cotton should be in the shirt? We detail at 50-50. Yeah, personally, I prefer I prefer at least a 50-50 or greater. you'll get the best overall quality with that. The ink itself is only meant to adhere to the cotton. So when you're printing a 50-50, it's really only adhering to 50% of the shirt. And depending on where the cotton is in the shirt, a lot of times it's not an exact 50-50 blend. Like the polyester may be more around the seams, and the front of the shirt still be majority cotton, so you'll get a good result, and it depends on the shirt itself. But keep it at 50-50 or better, and you'll be in good shape. Do you have to wash the shirts first? No. No, don't worry about washing them. Next one was where in California? We're located in Costa Mesa, California, which is right by John Wayne Airport, about 10 minutes away from Disneyland. So when you come out here, you can even maybe do a Disneyland trip. Can you buy a refurbished printer? Yeah, I think we have some available. They tend to go pretty quick, and you can get a little bit bigger of a discount. But yeah, you can buy a refurbished printer. They're kind of few and far between. We don't typically get a lot of them, but when we do sell them. So if you do get an opportunity to get one, I'd say go for it. We treat them just like they're brand new. Give you all the bells and whistles, just like we totally do. So by all means, but they're, like I said, they're kind of hard to come by. Who pays the travel and hotel costs for training? Well, we can do a few different things. We can do a travel reimbursement for you as part of the price discount, especially for you guys that all came to the webinar. It has to be factored in some way, somehow, to the printer price of your purchase. So, say we gave you a $500 travel and hotel cost reimbursement. If you can have that, or maybe you want to just apply $500 to reducing the overall cost of the printer. However you want to do it, it's to your discretion, but that's typically how we do it. Next one is, what other supplies or parts for maintenance are required, and how often do they need to be replaced or changed? We give you cleaning applicators. They're synthetic, okay? There's these wipes. They look like little square wipes, and they're synthetic, so they don't leave any fuzz. We give you, they almost look like Q-tips that have synthetic tips to them to kind of clean in smaller areas. We give you a bunch of them with purchase, and you probably won't go through them in a year, so you'll have enough. But these nice little, and there's like little cleaning solution bottles and things like that to clean the certain parts of the printer, just to keep things nice and lubricated and running smooth. And I can't imagine that you would need to purchase additional ones down the road, anytime within the first year. But even if you did need to purchase them, they're very inexpensive. I mean, we're talking, probably a full cleaning applicator set is like $40, $50 or something. So you can get it all, and it'll last you a long time. Is the AnaJet easy to transport? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we built it to be portable. Depending on the printer, some of them are heavier than others. So that's the one factor that you maybe need to keep in mind. You may need 2 people to pick up the printer versus just 1 person. But it is fairly easy to transport, and there are brackets and stuff that when you are transporting it, that hold the pieces in place so that it can be portable. So I'd say, yeah, go for it. I would definitely, if it was me, I would be out at events all the time doing that kind of stuff. How about if you have several files ready to print and you make a mistake on one of the shirts? Is there a way to redo the print, or do you have to load it into the software all over again? Yeah, depending on the mistake, you wouldn't have to load it all over again. You could just reprint or print over it, depending on what it is. If it's something like you printed the wrong name on the shirt, obviously that becomes a scrap shirt, and you'd have to resend a new file with the correct name. But if it's I don't know, say you left the table down too low and it was like a fuzzy print, you could just raise the table back up and print right over it and probably be fine. So it depends on the mistake, but to answer your question in a roundabout way, yeah, you won't have to reload the file and send it again. When you talk about linking directly to the printer, is this via direct cable connect or via Bluetooth? There's a direct USB connection from the computer to the printer. Incidentally, you don't have to do that. You can actually save the file on the thumb drive and walk the thumb drive over to the printer and plug it in to the printer, and it'll pick up the file directly off your thumb drive. There's also SD card that you can do. If the printer is going to be used at a trade show and is shipped in a padded case, can the print heads go out of alignment? No, the alignment won't be a problem. There's two brackets that hold the table in its place and hold the print head carriage in its place. So if you're going to transport it like that, I would just recommend you use those. Just keep those two brackets so that it locks the pieces in place. Even if those brackets weren't used and the print head was able to move, it wouldn't affect any alignment, but you would be exposing the tip of the print head to air and dust and contaminants, which you don't want to do. So it's important to use those brackets so that it's sealed with the maintenance station. What's the biggest print size? 18 by 14 inches. Good question. Does free lifetime transfer over from one owner to another? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. It's one owner. The tech support, software upgrades, and firmware upgrades, warranty is all through the original owner of the machine. Short if there's like a family situation there, then obviously that we would make a concession on that, but not if the printer was say sold to a third party. Will AnaJet buy back my Sprint so I can upgrade? Yeah, we have an upgrade program specifically for people that want to take their Sprint to the MP5 or an MP5 to an MP10 or even an old MP5 to the Gen 2, whatever the case might be. Yeah, definitely. Contact your RM and they'll be able to set you up. How long is the discount available? I should have said this earlier. Sorry, guys, but the discount is good until this Friday, by the end of the month. So you can get the deal all the way through the end of the month. How long are the training classes and how often? We do them every Friday from 9 to 5. If I'm moving the machine from Alaska to Hawaii, what kind of issues can I expect when the machine arrives at its new location since the ink will have sat for such an extended period? If you're going to move the machine and it's going to be sitting for an extended period, empty the ink out. Okay, it's pretty easy to do, but if it's going to be, empty the ink out and put in the cleaning solution that comes with the printer. If you're going to be moving it from one location to the next location and it's like a day's worth, then don't worry about leaving the ink out. But if it's going to sit for an extended period of time, take the ink out just to be safe. What's the biggest print size on the Sprint? 16 by 12.5. Could anyone attend the training class? If you are a customer, yeah, you and all of your people can come in, no problem. If you have friends and family that you want to come, or your employees, by all means, send them in. We'll definitely train them. And incidentally, if you hire anybody new and you want them to be trained, send them to us. We'll train them for you for free. The question is, once again, what's the deal? I know that the Spark software is free, but what else is there in the deal? The deadline is the end of this month. Yeah, so the deadline is this Friday. We tend to, the deal itself is catered to your needs. Just to give you an example, we offer a free heat press on this deal that is valued at $1,380. If you don't need the heat press, we take that $1,380 off the price of the printer. Okay? My guys here have about $8,000 they can play with, not including the Spark software. So whether it be a full $8,000 cash discount or $5,000 in cash discounts and $3,000 in free items, it's up to you guys how you want to do it. But that's the deal that every webinar attendee is going to get. Can you print on hats, socks, and sweatshirts on the Sprint printer? Yeah, you can print on all those things. The one thing I would say, though, is that the Sprint printer, we don't manufacture a hat platen for the Sprint printer, but we do for the mPower printer. So you can definitely print on hats, but you'd have to find a way to make sure that the printer can do it, because we didn't make a platen specifically for that. Okay, so just to recap real quickly, guys. So we do have that webinar discount. It's good through this Friday. There's about $8,000 in savings that you'll get out of it. So definitely contact your RM if you want to take advantage of that deal. Obviously, if you have any direct questions that, or you're not sure who your RM is, please feel free to email me, and I'll make sure that I get it out, get you to the right person. Again, my email is atipre@anajet.com. Oh, it looks like we got a few more questions that just popped up. Are there any plans to open a location on the East Coast? Yes, there are. Pretty soon. Looking forward to it. It looks like everybody, or just so you guys know, my email just got put into the entire chat audience so you can see it. And then another one is, since the printer runs on exclusive ink that you provide, what guarantee is there that the company won't increase the cost of ink dramatically since they have a captured audience? That's a good question. It boils down to, we want you to continue to buy ink, and we don't want you going somewhere else, which is why our ink cost is competitive in the first place. I can't say unequivocally that there's no guarantee that any ink cost will be increased or even decreased for that matter, but the reality of it is, if we raise the price of ink to a level that is unaffordable for our customers, they're going to go to other places that sell ink that is compatible with the mPower, or with the AnaJet printers. We don't want that, so we keep our ink prices very competitive, and we also put a big stamp guarantee on it that that this ink is meant for the printer and it's a high quality ink. There are third-party inks out there that realistically just aren't as good of quality as the inks that we sell and have been known to damage printers. So I recommend highly that you use our ink, but there is other ink that is out there. And since we want to make sure that you're purchasing our ink, we're not going to make it unaffordable for you. The next one is, do you have financing? Yes, we do. We do have financing, and our RM can put you in contact with the right people, and we have people that move fairly quickly. One group in particular, I like their financing because they don't penalize you if you want to pay it off early. We have a lot of customers that will finance and that wants to pay off their machine within the first year, and some finance companies will charge you for that. This one that we use pretty exclusively here doesn't charge you for that. So you can, once you've made enough money and you want to pay it off, and don't incur those finance expenses. So your RM is the person who originally wrote you back. Yes, yeah. So that's who your regional manager is, and please contact them and they'll be able to help. But as always, if you have any questions about who that is, shoot me an email and I'll make sure I get you the information. Next one is AnaJet ink best with other printers? You know, I don't know. I can't speak to that specifically. I just know that our ink is specifically designed for our garment printers, and we've done all of our testing on it, and that's why we put our name on it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do that. So from a washability standpoint, from a chemically, the way that it's structured, we spent a lot of time and effort making sure that it was the highest quality ink for our customers. Okay, guys, I think we covered everything. I really want to thank everybody for jumping on. If you have any other questions, please contact your regional manager or myself, and I'll make sure that you get your answers. Thank you so much for jumping on the webinar today. If there's anything that you need, please let us know. We really look forward to you becoming a good AnaJet customer, and please utilize those marketing efforts. It'll make all the difference in the world. Thanks again.